Okay, so let's start all over. First of all, good morning to everyone, and thank you for attending to today's webinar. As we advise you, and then we send you the invite, we're going to be talking about all the different artificial intelligence solutions that we have for the renewable industry. Also, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Alvaro Mocholi. I'm responsible for international sales for Grecom Technologies. And also the general manager of the company. So just to let you know, we are recording the webinar, okay, so we can share with you guys the video afterwards, or for those people that were not able to attend, also can access and review it, okay? So let's start all over, okay? First of all, I would like to do a brief introduction of our company. Grecom Technologies is a company that is specialized in developing real-time analytics, and our biggest expertise area is the thermal imaging cameras. Okay, so besides the thermal imaging, also what we do is we market some different solutions, especially on the area with optical spectrum cameras, which is the area which is not our expertise. So right now, currently we have over 30 different analytics. We export to 64 countries. The one of the most, and I will say the key advantage of our company is that we have our own R&D company that is responsible for developing all the solutions or most of the solutions that we sell, but also is responsible for customizing for specific projects the solutions in a way that we can adapt to the requirements. Okay. Also, we have an integration department which is responsible for integrating all our solutions with existing security systems, VMSs, cameras, I don't know, digital input and output models, and so on. The price of our licenses includes setup, fine-tuning. This is kind of like a turnkey solution. So whenever you buy one of our solutions, we do all the job for you. We will configure, we will adjust it, we configure the detection mask, adjust in case that there is a high false alarm rate, or so we will, until the solution is not performing as the customer is expecting, we will not stop working on it. And then also we also have our pre-sales and after-sales department. The pre-sales is the one that supports and reviews how the cameras are deployed, the height, and so on. And then the after sales is the one responsible for all the potential problems that might show up with the analytics, such as bugs or communication problems and so on. These are all the different areas of analytics that currently we have. So we have solutions for perimeter surveillance, we have solutions for safety, marine surveillance, traffic. We are very specialized on tunnels, on railway and road tunnels, fire prevention and detection, healthcare, automation, face recognition, forensic, and then we just recently incorporated the cybersecurity area, okay, which is also available. Okay, so let's start all over. The first solution that we would like to introduce you is the perimeter lockout with artificial intelligence. Here we have two solutions. We have one solution that is the perimeter lockout, that is specific, is more for optical spectrum cameras and short range. And then also what we do is we have the Sentinel thermal, which is for thermal imaging cameras and is very long range detection. Okay. So let me give you what are the key advantages of both of the solutions. Like in both solutions, they have multiple detection rules, so that you can detect intrusion, line crossing, prowling, or abandoned object simultaneously. The key difference with the thermal imaging, as I said, is the long range. Okay, but maybe the disadvantage is that whenever you're working at a very long range, it's very difficult to identify the objects, and sometimes the rate of false alarms might be a little bit higher than the solution with artificial intelligence. Okay, The solution with artificial intelligence, in order to be able to classify the objects, we need to put a lot of pixels into the image to be able to classify, and as a consequence, it affects on the detection range. That means that, for example, with thermal imaging, we can detect over 400, 450 meters without any problem. And then with the perimeter lockout, the maximum distance with an optical spectrum camera should be around 90 meters. And then if you go with a thermal imaging, the maximum distance will be between 150, 180 meters. Okay. The key advantage of the perimeter lockout is that you can classify the objects, so you can distinguish between a human, vehicles, and animals. So you just can discriminate all those objects that you're not interested in. Also, it doesn't generate false alarms by animals, vegetation movement, camera movement, light changes, shadows, or raindrops or insects into the lens. And then also is compatible with all the IP cameras. It is integrated with Milestone right now, although in the very short term will be integrated with the rest of VMSs, as for example, the thermal imaging solution. The thermal imaging solution has, as I said, has the same detection rules. We can discriminate objects by size and by behavior. Also, you have the multiple rule correlation. So that means that in order to be very accurate, what we can do is we can set up like 3 different rules. And then before we trigger the alarm, we have to, each one of the intruder has to follow a specific rule, has to go, for example, from prowling to line crossing to intrusion. Otherwise, it will not trigger the alarm. Okay. So here I'm gonna put you an example. Okay, this is, for example, an example that we did with a solar plant. Okay, for example, here you can see that our competing solutions, they require 44 cameras. Meanwhile, we require 33. Okay, how can we achieve such a large reduction of cameras? Very simple, because what we do is our algorithm has been specifically designed for thermal imaging cameras. So the philosophy of analysis is totally different than the analytics that have been migrated for optical spectrum cameras into thermal imaging. Okay, so for those solutions that come from optical spectrum cameras, basically the minimum target size would be something between 8 to 12 pixels. Meanwhile, for us, the minimum target size will be 2 pixels. So that is the reason why we can detect much farther away than our competing solutions. Whenever you reduce the number of cameras, it's not just a matter of cameras, you also reduce the staffs, the analytics, the VMS, closet, civil works, and server workstation. So here what we did is a comparison between on the security area. So our competing solution will have an approximately cost of about 345,000 euros on this type of project. Meanwhile, we can achieve the same project for 269. So that means a 75 or 76,000 euro savings, which is about 22%. Okay. And also, if we go with the embedded version, the savings is even larger. Okay. So for example, if we compare the server on-premise solution versus the embedded solution, what we can do is we can save in 7%. We can save additionally 7%, also 7% additional discount or the cost saving. And then if you compare the competition versus the embedded version, the savings is about 27%. This solution, for example, with the thermal imaging, is available on. We can go on Axis, we can go with Hanwha, we can go with Dahua, and very soon with Hikvision. Okay, and then also with Mobotics, we are working on it, so it also will be embedded into Mobotics. Okay. Here I'm gonna put you a video on the detection range. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move forward to. So this is a testing that we did with FLIR and axis cameras. So this is I'm gonna put a pause here. So here, as you can see, there is 4 cameras running simultaneously. So we have on the upper left corner 2 FLIR cameras, 309 and 313. And then on the right and bottom, we have the axis, the 35 and 60 millimeter cameras. Okay, as you will see, all the solutions, all the analytics are running simultaneously. So there's no way that we can trick this.
Discover Sentinel, an
So
advanced
this is a
system for
320 meter
unrestricted access
detection.
areas, available for thermal cameras. The lowest false alarm rate on the market. Discriminates objects by size and behavior. The largest detection range on the market. Minimum target
So as you can see, it's very
2
rapid,
pixels.
very fast on the detection. Here, this is a detection range just to figure out how far we can go. I mean, this doesn't mean that we can set up the cameras at 1 kilometer or 800 meters. Or usually, what we do is we deploy the cameras in the worst case scenario. That means that usually, depending on what is the maximum distance that we can reach with one camera, usually we go half the distance. So, for instance, if we can go, for example, one kilometer on the detection range, the maximum distance that we will deploy the camera will be 450, 500 meters maximum. And this camera is deployed 4.5 meters from the ground. And then, as you can see, still can detect at 1.5 kilometers. This doesn't mean, as I said before, that we deploy the cameras 1.5 kilometers, but usually the maximum distance that we deploy the cameras is about 450 to 450, 500 meters. Okay. So here, this is an example. This is with the artificial intelligence. So we can see here that the movement of the camera, we don't trigger or we don't generate false alarms on it. Even with a very low contrast, we can still detect. Okay. Okay, another one of the solutions that we have for the renewable industry is the temp threshold. This is a solution for fire prevention and detection. And basically, this solution, what it does, it analyzes, first of all, the temperature thresholds of all the objects that are on the field of view of the camera. And secondly, what it does, it analyzes the behavior. Okay, so let me, hold on. Is it working or is it the image is frozen? Okay. I don't know why it's frozen, but can you hear me anyway? Okay. Well, let's go with the voice, and then once the image comes back, we'll start all over. Okay. So the temperature threshold, as I was explaining to you, this is a solution that analyzes the temperature thresholds of all the objects that are on the field of view. But besides that, what we do is we analyze the behavior in a way that we can guarantee almost 100% accuracy. So for instance, imagine that we are in a biomass plant, and then there is a lot of machinery working on the field of view of the camera. So in the VMS, we need to have three scenarios. First of all, we have to detect the internal combustion. Secondly, we have to discriminate all the machinery that is working on the field of view of the camera. And third, we have to detect fire, okay? So for example, what we do is we set up different temperature thresholds in which we want to detect. Let's put, for example, on the biomass, when we want to detect internal combustion, we need to detect objects that are between 40 and 90 degrees, okay? And then the object is steady, that means it doesn't move, and increases the temperature very slowly, okay? For the machinery, what we do is there is an object that is between 120 and 200 degrees. The temperature is steady and the object is moving around, okay? And for fire, what we do is objects that are over 200 degrees centigrade, the temperature increases very rapidly and the size also increases very rapidly, okay? So this is, besides analyzing the temperature thresholds, which is something that the camera can do itself, what we do is we analyze the behaviors in a way to be more accurate, okay? So that is how we can guarantee a high rate of accuracy, okay? So this solution can apply to biomass plants, dump plants, recycling, chemical, on oil and gas, okay? So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you a video. Okay. Will you guys are able to see the video now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as you can see here in the video, on the upper right corner is the maximum and the minimum temperature. So the red dot, the red cross means that is the warmest point on the field of view of the camera, and the blue cross is the coolest area, okay? So here, there is no detection. I will show you a video with a detection later on, but here is how we can show, for example, this is the internal combustion. So this is how we analyze all the objects that are on the field of view of the camera. And also this, as you can see, this camera can work with fixed cameras or with PTC. So that means that the camera can move around and can detect, okay? Meanwhile, it's moving. So with one camera, you can have a large area coverage. Here, I'm gonna show you a video, okay? This is with the fire prevention. Okay. So here, as you can see, there is a fire. Okay, it takes a few seconds to detect it. Basically, what we do is we are generating the background, and then once we detect the object, then is when we trigger the alarm. Okay, so as I said before, first of all, what we do is we generate a background of the image. Secondly, if we see that there is any object radiating differently from that background, we detect it immediately. That doesn't mean that we trigger the alarm. And then once we detect it, then we start analyzing the behavior. Once we see that the behavior matches with the criteria that we have set up the system for, then is when we trigger the alarm. Okay, another one of the solutions that we offer is, as you know, especially on all the solar plants, all the biomass plants and so on, there is a lot of substations or there is transformers, okay? And then in most of the cases, these transformers, what they do, the maintenance is doing manually, and sometimes it generates some problems that that sometimes, you're not able to, it might create a major failure, okay? So here what we do is 24 hours, 7 days a week, we are monitoring all the objects or all the electrical components that are in a transformer, and then we analyzing the temperature behavior. That means if we detect that there is any of the objects is overheating, then what we do is we detect it and then we save it, okay? So here, besides analyzing the temperature of all the objects, also what we do is we analyze the behavior, and then also we create kind of like a database so we can see how that object is evolving on a space of time. And then also what we can do is we can compare the temperature readings between two similar components. For example, here, imagine that we can compare box number 1 and box number 2, and then we can identify immediately if one of these similar components is overheating versus some other components. Okay, so this is how the solution works. Okay, and then I think Philip is about to ask a question. Okay, this solution is also available with fixed and PTC cameras. And then also has one very unique solution, which is distance configuration. As you know, the temperature dissipates with the space. That means the farther the object is from the camera, the less energy or the less accurate the reading will be unless you correct or you configure the temperature reading based on the distance. So what we do is we have like kind of like distance configuration tool that based on the distance the object is from the camera, what we can do is we can correct the deviation on temperature in a way that we have an accurate reading. Okay. As I said, this is also one very unique thing is that you can analyze the image offline. So whenever we are recording the images, we also recording with all the temperature metadata. So you will be able to move the mouse through the image and be able to figure out the temperature of all the objects that are on the image. So you can move and say, for example, you see that there is one pixel that is red or is very light color. So what you can do is you can position the mouse on top of that pixel and we'll be able to figure out the temperature. Okay. It's also compatible with all the main VMSs, Milestone, Genetec, Axis, Camera Station, Pelco, Avigilon, Cathesix, EDIS, Latitude, Chameleon, Goitebrook, Digiford. So these will be all the main VMSs that we are integrated for. Also, we have the face recognition, which is one of the solutions that we also has recently incorporated. We can guarantee a 99.87% of accuracy on faces without mask and 98.6% accuracy with faces with mask. Okay. Also follows all the privacy regulations. Okay. So the AIS 256, okay, all the images get encrypted. So unless you have the credentials to access to the images, you will not be able to view the image, the identity of the people, or share the information. Okay. We have our own API and also SDK, so we can integrate it with existing access control devices or with existing VMS platforms. Is compatible with all the main processing softwares like Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS. Okay, and then it can work on premise, it can work on the cloud, or you can have like the hybrid version. And also from the processing requirements is one of the lowest solutions in the market. We can save up to 20% of processing capacity versus some other solutions. From the monitoring point of view, what we can do is we can have mass detection, social distances. We can detect P. We can also verify that all the employees accessing to the premise, they wear the right equipment, such as helmets, glasses, glove, boots, uniform, walkie-talkie, and so on. Okay. Then you also have the multi-factor authentication. So that means that whenever the employees are wearing protection equipment, sometimes it's very difficult to identify. So what we do is we develop kind of like a sticker, a QR sticker that they can position outside the uniform, and then with the image, with the camera, we will be able to identify that person also. From the facial recognition, what we can do is access control. okay, subscription or activation on new customers. So imagine that, for example, you have some supplier that is visiting the premise or the facilities. So what we also can do is we can, I will say, we can, once you register, the next time that you come, you will not have to go through the process. So the accessing procedure will be much faster, okay? Also, you can recognize kind of like the blacklist. So in case that there is an employee that is no longer authorized to come in, you can block it. And then also you have the liveness and anti-spoofing, so no one can fool or no one can supplant the identity of one person with a picture or with a video or with an image, okay? And then from analytics, I mean, although it will not apply here, but I mean, you can do demographic analysis, like gender, age. You can do queuing time, dwell time, how much time each person spends inside the premise. So you will have a check-in time and check-out time. And basically, this is what we can do with all the face recognition. Okay, here I'm going to show you a video with the liveness and anti-spoofing. So as you will see here, whenever you register one face, whenever it is detected, automatically will recognize it. And then also we'll put a green heart on the top of it. So that means that it is a real face. And then whenever you try to supplant with an image, it will identify you, but it will give you the red heart. So that means that that is not a real face. So it will not grant you access. As I said, this also works with photographies, but also works with images on smartphones or videos. And then also you have the double authentication. So that means that imagine that you need a badge to come into premise. So it will match the identity of the face with the identity of the badge. If that is not the same, it will not grant you the access. And then we have also the solution is the VMS platform.
Analytics.
Excuse me. So here is the VMS is a little bit, well, it's quite different. It has some very key advantages compared to some other solutions in the market. And then what it means is that whenever you're recording all the data, it also classifies the objects. For instance, whenever you're recording and there is a vehicle passing by, it will record, okay, this is a vehicle, blue color, and then the type of vehicle, if it's a motorcycle, if it's a vehicle, if it's a truck, if it's a bus, or whatever, okay? It will also do the same with humans. So it will classify the human as if he's a human, by gender, if he's a male or if he's a female, and then also can classify the type of clothing, the color, and also the type, if it's long sleeve, short sleeve, shorts, jeans, and then also will classify it and will record the face. So this is a solution that was last year was the Red Dot winner for 2021 as the smarter solution. And the key benefits of it is the smart search tool. So you can do some forensic search. You can do some forensic search, and then we'll save a lot of hours of searching throughout all the different cameras and recordings in order to obtain the information that you're searching for. Okay. Also, what you can do is you can search by similarities. That means you can upload one image of one person and automatically will search through all the cameras that are connected to the VMS for faces which are similar to the one that you just uploaded into the search tool. The structure of this VMS you can go with our own cameras. Okay, the key benefit of our own cameras is that that has the analytics are embedded and also the recording is embedded. So everything is done on premise. And then what you can do is you can just connect the cameras to the cloud, and you will not need any server at all. And then you can access to the cameras in real time, and you can access to the recording through the cloud, through any smartphone or any device that is connected to the network. In case that the facility has already the cameras deployed, we can also use it, but we will need to install what we call it the cloud connector. Okay, this is a server where the analytics and the let's call it the recording will be done. Okay, so you can access directly to the server, or you can access through the cloud. It depends on what type of structure you prefer. Okay, here I'm gonna put you a video on how this solution works.
Welcome to AvaWare. Today we're going to cover search. Search is a tool that allows us to search for specific events that may have occurred across one or multiple cameras. This allows us to search for things like the appearance of a person or a vehicle, a line cross event where a vehicle or person has crossed a specific virtual line that we've drawn, loitering events where a person or a vehicle may have been stationary for too long in one place, indicating something like an idling vehicle that may be outside of a loading dock or outside of an airport, or a person that may just be acting suspiciously in an area that they should not be. We can also alert on sound detection, and this leverages the onboard sound detection in our AvaWare cameras that can detect things like glass breaks, loud noises, smoke alarms, and many more audio models that are being added with each release. So, for example, if we were to create a line cross search, what we can do is we can choose what kind of objects we want to search for. We can stick with any or go down to a specific person. This person can be specified based on gender or based on the attire that they're wearing in the top or the lower quadrant of their body, and you can combine both colors as well, looking for people in uniforms or based on a description that was given by a third party. We can also leverage an image. If someone has captured a cell phone image of this person or vehicle, we can upload that in order to do a search based on these detections. Then we can choose where we want to do this detection. So this detection can take place, for example, on a camera in a parking lot. It could also happen inside of a building. So if we were looking for people that may have been in front of a register, we can choose one or multiple cameras and then choose the line that we want these objects to be crossing in order to qualify for the detection. We can choose the direction of travel of this object. And in the case of something like a convenience store, if we're just looking for anyone that is walking out, as this person just did in this example, we can unclick the entering direction so that we're only looking for the direction of travel out the door. And then we can choose the time period that we're searching for. This can be anywhere from specific minutes down to a block of time that may be days or hours. And in our case, when we're just looking for the last 30 minutes worth of search, we're presented with all of the events that correspond to our search criteria. So in our case, we're looking for people that are exiting. And if I highlight over that video, we're going to see the people that are exiting. I can click into this video to see it in greater detail. This will allow me to see not only the event that occurred, but the object within our floor plan as that user exits this building. I can then click to act on that activity. But we can also see in our parking lot as a person was crossing that virtual line that we created. So this allows us to very quickly get to the events that matter to us and then act on them. These different video clips that we have captured here can then be exported. So we can take the relevant information by clicking the plus, and we can choose to share or save. So we can export this as an MP4. We can share this as a publicly accessible link. We can bookmark it so that these video clips do not get deleted by typical retention. And of course, we can also do similarity searches if we want to look for people that are similar to the objects that have been detected in these environments. Now, you're also presented with the ability to create a rule. We have a whole nother section dedicated to creating rules based off of searches as well as other parameters. I implore you to check that out.
Okay, so this now I'm gonna show you some key success cases or some references. Okay, on the renewable solar plants, we work with companies such as Excelio. Okay, we have done 4 or 5 plants with them. Iberdrola, which is one of the is the largest renewable company here in Spain. With Dewa and in Dubai, we have done the solar plant. With Sagaya, which is in Kuwait, we have also done the plant for them. Enel, we have done several plants. Okay, so here you can see some of the big players on the solar plants. On the biomass plants, we work with ENCE, which is one of the largest companies for biomass plants here in Spain. Bradner is a Austrian-German company, which also has implemented a solution for the fire detection. Okay, and then on the law and enforcement, so we work with the FBI. We have set up the VMS and also the cybersecurity solution with the NATO. We have the access control with the Rota military base, which is a US and a Spanish military base on south of Spain. We do all the perimeter solution. And with all the Navy bases of Spain, we also do the marine and perimeter surveillance. Okay. As for the critical infrastructures, we have done the Madrid International Airport, Valencia Port, which is the largest. Here we have Filippo. Where are your cloud servers located? They are located some of them are located in the US and some of them are located in Europe. Okay, depending on the project, you can choose. And then as for the oil and gas, we have worked with companies such as Saudi Aramco, Repsol, Cepsa, okay, and the telecommunications, AT&T, Etisalat, Telefonica, and Hitachi, Facebook are some of our key clients. And then also we have as distributors, we work with Enixter, ADI, also with ScanSource, Ingram Micro, Tech Data. And then as installers, we work also with all the main installers around. So this will be pretty much the webinar for today. In case that you guys have any questions, you can activate your microphone, or you can ask me through the chat. So whatever is more convenient for you, please feel free. Just to remind you that the solutions, the price of the analytics includes setup and fine tuning. So it's kind of like a turnkey solution. And then we do that remotely. Okay. And then in case that you need a demo of any of the solutions that we presented to you today, you just have to access through this website and then request for a demo, and then we will do the demo for you. We have 2 types of demos. We can do it on site on a real case scenario. And then you can also do it through some videos that we have in our library. Okay, it's up to you. Also here you have my contact details. You have my mobile telephone number in case that you want to send me a WhatsApp, you want to call me, or my email address in case that you need it. The next coming days, we will be sending a copy of the presentation and also a link to the video, so you will be able to view it. Okay. So in case that you have any questions, please feel free. Go ahead. Philippe says, well, thank you for the presentation. Okay, thank you. Thanks to you for attending. Okay. And then also he asked in the past if the cloud servers were located in the European Union. As I said, we have some of them are located in in the US, and some of them are located in the European Union. Thank you, Ravinder, for attending. Okay, in case that there is no questions, once again, thank you very much for attending to today's webinar. In case, you have here my contact details, so please feel free to contact me for any questions that you may need. Okay, well, thank you very much, and let's keep in touch. Bye-bye.